Before we dive into heart-pounding dog stories, please subscribe to my channel. Many people watch videos without subscribing. Your one subscribe helps me to create stories like this, and hit the bell icon for more stories like this. It was just another sunlit morning in the small town of Oak Valley. The streets bustled with weekend farmers markets, kids running around with popsicles and old-timers catching up over coffee at the local diner. Everyone knew everyone. And life for the most part was predictable until that moment. Out of nowhere, a sharp, relentless bark shattered the calm. It wasn't just any bark. It was a warning, urgent and raw, like a fire alarm going off in the middle of the night. People turned their heads. There in front of the town hall stood Officer Anna Johnson, the town's golden girl, 32, sharp as a tack, always professional in her crisp uniform. By her side, Max, her loyal K-9 partner, a German shepherd known for his discipline and sharp instincts. But today, Max wasn't acting like the calm, steady dog everyone admired. He was lunging at Anna, not at a criminal, not at a stranger, but at Anna herself. His teeth bared, ears pinned back, his eyes locked onto her as if she were the threat. People gasped. Some froze. Others reached for their phones. Anna's face twisted in shock. She tried to pull Max back, but he wouldn't stop. His bark cut through the air like a siren. And then in a split second, everything changed. Anna stumbled backward, knocking over a table of fresh strawberries, her badge glinting in the sun as she struggled to hold on to the leash. The stall vendor yelled, kids started crying, and the air thickened with tension. What was going on? Why was Max, the best-trained K-9 in the county, turning on his own handler? But the bigger question hung in the air like a storm cloud. No one could explain. What was Anna hiding? Anna tried to steady her breath, heart racing like a runaway train. She crouched, giving firm commands in a low voice. The same ones she'd practiced 1,000 times. Max, heel. Max, stand down. But the dog wouldn't budge. His nose flared, locked onto something on her, the uniform, the badge, or maybe something deeper. Her colleagues, officers from the precinct, rushed over. Anna, what's going on? Officer Rodriguez asked, eyes darting between her and Max. I don't know, she stammered, voice cracking. She felt everyone's gaze burning into her. The people she protected, the community she loved, they were watching her like she was a stranger. And that's when it hit her. Max had never barked like this, not even at suspects on the run. His barks were like an alarm clock for danger, and she couldn't shake the feeling that he was trying to tell her something. Anna forced a tight smile. Must be a glitch. He's probably just tired. But deep down, she knew that was a lie. That afternoon, the whispers started. In the diner, at the gas station, at the Little League field, everyone had a theory. Maybe Anna had been hiding something. Maybe Max picked up on it. Maybe, just maybe, the town's perfect cop wasn't so perfect after all. As the tension swirled, the captain called Anna into his office. Take the afternoon off. Get Max checked out. And Anna, are you sure there's nothing you want to tell us? She shook her head, but her hands folded tightly in her lap told a different story. Later that day, Anna sat on the front porch of her small white house at the edge of town, staring at the leash in her hands. Max sat beside her, calm now, as if nothing had happened. His tail wagged softly, eyes gentle, but the memory of his barks echoed in her mind like a bad dream. She reached down, running her fingers through his fur. Max, what are you trying to tell me? The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the quiet street. A car rolled by. Kids' laughter floated from a backyard. It was the kind of night that made you feel safe. Or at least it used to. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. What do you think Max is trying to warn Anna about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As Anna sat there, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, not just with Max, but with her own life. She thought back to the last few months, the anonymous calls that stopped as soon as she picked up, the weird static on the radio during patrols. The file she'd been told not to open at the precinct. Her stomach tightened, and then just as she was about to head inside, Max's head snapped up, his ears pricked forward, eyes locked on the darkening street. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Anna turned, following his gaze. And there, half hidden by a row of parked cars, a shadow moved. She froze. Was someone watching them? Max's growl deepened. Anna's breath caught in her throat as a cold shiver ran down her spine. To be continued. Anna's heart hammered in her chest as she squinted into the dimming street. The shadow lingered, half obscured behind a parked pickup truck with a faded "Support Local Farmers" bumper sticker. Her mind raced. Was it just a neighbor taking a walk or something more sinister? Max stayed rooted at her side, his body tense, a low growl vibrating from deep in his throat. His ears were pinned forward, eyes locked on the dark figure. Anna's grip on the leash tightened until her knuckles turned white. Then, as if sensing her gaze, the figure slipped back into the darkness, swallowed by the quiet of the night. Anna stood frozen for a long moment, every nerve on edge. The warm hum of crickets and distant porch lights suddenly felt like a thin veil over something much colder, something watching. With a deep breath, she forced herself to shake it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe she was just rattled after the scene at the farmer's market. She glanced down at Max, who was still watching the spot where the shadow had been, his tail low and stiff. "Let's go inside, buddy," she whispered, trying to convince herself as much as him. Inside, the house felt too quiet. The usual comfort of her small space, family photos on the mantel, the faint scent of vanilla from an old candle didn't settle her nerves like it usually did. She filled Max's bowl and sank into the couch, staring at the dark window. Her mind replayed the afternoon on loop. The way Max had lunged at her. The way people had stared, whispering behind their hands. The way her captain had looked at her like he knew something she didn't. And that note, "Are you sure you know who you really are?" It had been folded and slipped under her windshield wiper. Almost like a joke, but it felt like anything but. The next morning, Anna walked into the precinct, determined to shake off the tension. The station bustled like usual, phones ringing, keyboards clacking, the scent of burnt coffee lingering in the air. But when she walked past the squad room, she felt it. A slight hush, the weight of eyes on her back. Rodriguez gave her a quick nod, but it was tight, like he wasn't sure if he should say hello. At her desk, she sat down and tried to focus on paperwork, but her mind kept drifting. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Stop asking questions. Let it go." Her stomach twisted. She looked around, but no one seemed to notice. She locked the screen, her hands clammy. Later that afternoon, the captain called her into his office. His face was tight, jaw clenched, like he was trying to hold back something. "Anna, we've had a complaint," he said, voice low. "A complaint?" she repeated, frowning. He nodded. "Someone from the community. They said your dog, Max, is unstable." "Unstable?" Anna almost laughed, but it came out hollow. "He's the most disciplined K9 on the force. He saved lives." "I know," Thompson interrupted, voice sharp. "But you need to get him evaluated. Full behavioral review." "And Anna," he hesitated, glancing at a file on his desk. "You should think about taking some personal leave. Just until things settle down." Anna's pulse spiked. "Captain, is there something I should know?" His eyes flickered, but he shook his head. "Just take care of yourself." "All right." She left the office feeling like the ground had shifted under her feet. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. She sat up in bed, listening to the sounds of the night, the creak of the old house, the wind rustling the trees outside. Max lay at the foot of the bed, breathing steadily, but his ears would twitch now and then like he was waiting for something. At 2:17 a.m., her phone buzzed again. A new message. Check the box under your bed. Her breath caught. She reached down, heart pounding, and there it was. A small black box she didn't recognize wedged under the frame. Hands trembling, she opened it. Inside a USB drive and a note. Not everything is what it seems. Watch this. She plugged it into her laptop, the screen flickering to life. It was a video. Grainy security footage. The timestamp showed it was from 2 weeks ago. The camera angle was from inside a government building, maybe the station, but it was hard to tell. There was a woman in uniform, her uniform, standing next to a man she couldn't see clearly. They were talking, but no sound. Then the woman took something from the man, slipped it into her pocket, and walked away. Her blood ran cold. It couldn't be her. She had no memory of this, no recollection at all. She paused the video, zoomed, and stared at the frozen frame. It was her face, her badge, her uniform, but she had no memory of that night. Max stirred, sitting up, ears alert. His eyes locked on her as if he sensed her shock, her fear. "Max," she whispered, voice breaking. "What's happening to me?" He let out a soft whine, then barked once, sharp, precise, like he was trying to answer. Anna slumped back in her chair, the room spinning. Someone was watching her. Someone had set her up. And the worst part, she didn't know who she could trust anymore. The next day, Anna walked into the station with a quiet resolve. She wasn't going to roll over and let this destroy her. She opened her locker, and there, tucked inside her uniform pocket, was another note. Last chance. Walk away or you'll lose everything. Her hands shook as she crumpled it. No, she wasn't walking away. Not until she knew the truth. Anna's hands trembled as she gripped the crumpled note. Last chance. Walk away or you'll lose everything. The words echoed in her mind like a threat whispered in a dark alley. She shoved the paper deep into her jacket pocket, heart hammering against her ribs. She glanced at the squad room. The usual hum of the station seemed muted like a TV turned down too low. Her colleagues sat at their desks, eyes glued to their screens, but she could feel it. The weight of glances, the half-stifled whispers, the tension hanging in the air like a storm cloud. And Max was sitting by her side, posture alert, eyes sharp as a blade. His tail gave a slight thump against the floor, but his gaze never wavered. He was watching her just as he had been since the incident at the farmer's market. Anna took a shaky breath and walked to her locker, keeping her movements slow, deliberate, as if she wasn't burning inside. She opened it, staring at the neatly folded uniform, the standard issue gear, everything that was supposed to make her feel safe, like she belonged. But now it felt like a costume. She grabbed her jacket, her badge glinting in the harsh fluorescent light. As she turned, she caught sight of Rodriguez at the coffee machine, his back stiff, shoulders hunched. "Hey, Rodriguez," she called softly. He flinched like she'd caught him off guard, then forced a smile. "Hey, Johnson, you good?" she hesitated. "Yeah, just a weird week, huh?" "Yeah," he echoed, voice flat. But the way his eyes darted away told her everything she needed to know. They were all pulling away. That afternoon, Anna sat alone in her cruiser, the windows rolled down, the spring breeze brushing against her skin. The town of Oak Valley bustled like any other day. Families at the park, kids biking past with backpacks swinging, the faint scent of barbecue in the air. But for Anna, it all felt distant, like she was watching it through a pane of glass. Her phone buzzed. Another message. Tonight, 10 p.m. behind the old mill. No signature, no name, just those words. She exhaled sharply. The old mill had been abandoned for years, an eerie, crumbling building on the edge of town, the kind of place kids dared each other to sneak into on Halloween. Max let out a soft whine from the back seat, shifting on his paws like he could sense her unease. Anna reached back and scratched behind his ears. "I know, buddy," she murmured. "We'll figure this out." That evening, the air felt heavier, thicker, as if the whole town was holding its breath. Anna parked a few blocks from the old mill, the gravel crunching under her tires. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the overgrown field surrounding the building. She checked her watch. 9:54 p.m. Max sat in the passenger seat this time, his head low but eyes sharp, nostrils flaring as if he was reading the night air. Anna checked her sidearm, then took a deep breath and stepped out of the cruiser. The sound of her boots crunching. The gravel echoed in the stillness. The mill loomed in the darkness, its broken windows like empty eyes staring back at her. She approached cautiously, flashlight in one hand, Max's leash in the other. Max moved like a shadow, his body tense, low to the ground, ears twitching with every sound. At 10 p.m. on the dot, a figure stepped out from behind a stack of rusted arrows. It was Mike, the tech guy from the station. Anna froze. "Mike," she called, voice low, tight. "What the hell is going on?" Mike looked nervous, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air. His eyes darted around like they expected someone else to appear at any moment. "You weren't supposed to come," he muttered. "Then why did you text me?" Anna asked, her pulse spiking. "I didn't," he whispered, voice cracking. "Anna, you don't understand. You're in the middle of something big." "Big? What are you talking about?" Mike glanced over his shoulder as if checking for unseen eyes. "Remember that night 3 months ago, the warehouse fire?" Anna frowned. "Of course, I was on patrol." Mike shook his head frantically. "No, Anna. You were in the warehouse. There's footage. I found it. That's why they're after you." Anna's stomach dropped. "I don't remember being there," she whispered. "Exactly." Mike hissed. "They erased it. You think this is about a dog barking at you?" Max knows he's been trained to pick up on anomalies. "Anomalies?" she repeated, heart racing. Mike opened his backpack, pulling out a flash drive. His hand shook so badly he nearly dropped it. "You need to see this. Take it." Before he could finish, a sharp crack split the air. A gunshot. Mike's body jerked, a bloom of red spreading across his chest. "Mike!" Anna screamed, diving for cover behind a rusted beam. Max barked, a furious wild sound that echoed through the mill. Another shot rang out, sparking against the metal inches from Anna's head. She reached for Mike, but his eyes were wide, glassy. The flash drive lay in the dirt beside him, smeared with blood. Max lunged forward, teeth bared, scanning the shadows for the shooter. Anna scooped up the flash drive, heart thudding so hard it felt like it might break her ribs. She gripped Max's collar, backing away from the open space, pulling him toward the cover of the old walls. Her breath came in ragged gasps, ears ringing, mind racing. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. Someone was willing to kill to keep her quiet. She looked at Max, who stared back at her with that same fierce loyalty. "We have to go, boy, now." They fled into the night, the mill shrinking behind them as sirens wailed in the distance. Anna's world had just cracked wide open, and she knew this was only the beginning. Anna didn't slow down until she and Max were blocks away from the old mill. Her chest burned with every breath, and her legs felt like lead, but she couldn't stop. The weight of the flash drive in her pocket felt heavier than it should have. Like it held more than just files, like it carried the weight of everything she thought she knew. Max trotted at her side, his ears still pinned back, his eyes darting around as if he expected the shooter to come charging out from the shadows. Every little sound, a car door slamming, a dog barking in the distance, made Anna flinch. She finally ducked into a small all-night diner on the outskirts of town. The neon sign buzzed faintly overhead, casting a sickly blue glow over the parking lot. Inside, the place smelled like burnt coffee and fryer grease, with a jukebox humming an old country tune in the corner. A few truckers sat hunched over their mugs, eyes half-lidded from long-haul fatigue. Anna slid into a booth at the back, keeping her head low. Max sat at her feet, close and alert. She pulled out the flash drive, her fingers trembling. What the hell had Mike gotten himself into? And more importantly, what had she gotten into? She popped open her laptop and plugged in the drive. The screen flickered. Then a folder appeared. Anna Johnson Confidential. Her heart nearly stopped. Inside were video files labeled with dates, some recent, some from months ago. She clicked on the earliest one, dated February 14th. The footage was grainy black and white security cam footage from the warehouse fire. And there she was. Anna watched herself on screen, her body moving through the smoke-filled hallway. She was holding something, a small metal case, tightly in her arms, but she had no memory of that night. Her stomach twisted. She watched herself meet a man in a dark suit. He handed her a small envelope, then turned and vanished into the smoke. The next file was even worse. It showed her at the police station slipping into the evidence locker at 2:14 a.m. when she was supposedly home asleep. She saw herself pocket a flash drive, this very flash drive, and walk away like it was the most normal thing in the world. Anna's hands shook as she hit pause. What the hell was happening? Had someone set her up, or was there something even worse? Max let out a low growl, snapping Anna back to the present. A man in a hoodie had just walked into the diner, glancing around casually, but his eyes lingered too long on Anna's booth. She closed the laptop quickly, shoving the flash drive into her pocket. Her pulse spiked. The man ordered a coffee, but he didn't sit. He stood by the counter, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds. Anna knew that look. He wasn't here for coffee. Her phone buzzed. A new message, no number. Leave it alone, Anna. Last warning. Her stomach dropped. She slid out of the booth, keeping one hand on Max's collar. She moved toward the back exit, the one near the kitchen. As she reached for the handle, she heard footsteps, fast, deliberate, coming up behind her. Max barked sharply, turning just as the man lunged. Anna spun, her training kicking in. She shoved the man's arm aside, grabbing his wrist in a tight grip, twisting hard. He grunted, but then without warning, he jabbed a syringe toward her neck. Max launched. The dog's teeth sank into the man's arm, sending him crashing into the condiment station. Sugar packets and napkins exploded into the air as the man screamed, the syringe skittering across the floor. Max snarled, pinning him down. Anna snatched the syringe, holding it up to the light. The liquid inside shimmered faintly under the diner's harsh lights. What was this? The man writhed under Max's weight, eyes wide with panic. Who sent you? Anna demanded, her voice low and fierce. The man shook his head, lips tight. You don't know who you're messing with. Max barked again, sharp and threatening. Anna leaned in, her breath steady despite the adrenaline roaring in her veins. Try me. But before the man could speak, he went limp, completely still. Max backed off, growling low. Anna checked for a pulse. Nothing. He was dead. The diner fell into a stunned silence. The cook peered over from the kitchen, eyes wide as saucers. Anna grabbed the syringe and bolted for the door, Max close at her heels. Once outside, she gasped for air, her hands shaking. She looked down at the syringe. No label, no markings, just a clear liquid that shimmered faintly under the street lights. Max pressed close to her side, his body tense, muscles vibrating like a coiled spring. "Come on, buddy," she whispered. "We've got to get out of here." Back in her car, Anna tried to make sense of it all. The flash drive, the videos, the men following her, the warning messages, and now a man with a syringe, dead without explanation. It was like she'd stumbled into a movie, but this wasn't fiction. Max sat in the passenger seat, head resting on her knee. She ran her fingers through his fur, her mind racing. "Max, what do they want with me?" He let out a soft whine, his eyes steady, as if he understood more than he could say. She thought about Mike, dead in the dirt behind the mill. The files, the missing memories, and one chilling realization crept into her mind. They weren't just trying to silence her. They were trying to erase her. Anna knew she couldn't go to the precinct. Not now. She couldn't trust the captain, couldn't trust Rodriguez, maybe couldn't even trust her own memories. She had one ally, Max, and maybe there was someone else. Her eyes narrowed as a name flickered in her mind, someone she hadn't thought about in years. If anyone could help her piece this together, it was Jake Wilson, an ex-cop turned private investigator, someone who knew the system and how to work around it. But finding him wouldn't be easy. She started the car, glancing down at Max. "You ready for a road trip, buddy?" Max wagged his tail once, but his eyes were sharp, watchful, ready. Anna put the car in gear, her hands steady on the wheel, determination hardening in her chest. They were coming for her, but she wasn't going down without a fight. The highway stretched out ahead of them, dark and endless, with only the faint glow of passing headlights breaking the monotony. Anna gripped the wheel tightly, her knuckles pale, eyes fixed on the road. Every muscle in her body was tense, every sense on high alert. Max lay in the passenger seat, his head resting on her thigh, but his ears twitched at every sound. He was tired, but like Anna, he knew they couldn't let their guard down. The road signs zipped by Route 47, Exit 13. And Anna glanced at the GPS on her phone. They were 2 hours out from Asheville, where Jake Wilson lived these days, tucked away in a cabin deep in the mountains. Jake, just thinking his name, stirred up a mix of emotions. They'd worked a few cases together back in the day, back before Jake had walked away from the badge. He was smart, resourceful, and didn't trust the system any more than she did right now. If anyone could help her unravel this mess, it was him. But would he even pick up her call? Her phone buzzed again. No number. Too late, Anna. She gritted her teeth, shoving the phone into the console. Max let out a low, uneasy growl, and Anna reached over, scratching behind his ears. "I know, boy. They're watching." The night seemed endless, the miles stretching on like a slow bleed. When they finally reached the outskirts of Asheville, it was just past 2 a.m. The town was quiet, the streets dark, except for a lone street lamp flickering near a gas station. Anna followed the winding roads into the hills, the GPS signal cutting in and out. By the time she pulled up in front of Jake's cabin, the sky had started to lighten with the first hint of dawn. It was a small weathered place, the kind of cabin that looked like it had stories hidden in its walls. A rusted truck sat in the driveway and a dog barked somewhere in the distance. Anna stepped out cautiously, Max at her side. She knocked on the door, heart pounding. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. Finally, the door creaked open, and Jake appeared, silhouetted in the dim light. He looked older, rougher, his beard grayer, eyes more guarded, but the sharpness was still there. The cop instinct that never really left. "Anna Johnson," he said, voice low, almost a growl. "What the hell are you doing here at this hour?" Anna exhaled, feeling the weight of everything settle on her shoulders. "I need your help, Jake. It's bad. Really bad." Jake glanced at Max, who stood close, tail low, but eyes sharp. Then back to Anna. "Come in." Inside, the cabin smelled of old coffee and pine. A hunting rifle hung over the fireplace and stacks of case files and newspapers covered the coffee table. It was exactly the kind of place someone like Jake would pull up in. Off the grid, quiet, forgotten. Anna sat down, the exhaustion hitting her like a freight train. She pulled out the flash drive and placed it on the table. Jake raised an eyebrow. That looks like trouble. You have no idea. She explained everything. Max's sudden behavior. The videos of her in places she couldn't remember. The attack at the diner, Mike's death, the syringe. Jake listened without interrupting, his face growing darker with each detail. When she finished, he leaned back, running a hand through his graying hair. Damn, Johnson, this is deeper than I thought. Anna nodded. I need to know what's on that drive and I need to know why they're after me. Jake gave a short nod and plugged the drive into his laptop, the screen flickering to life. As the files loaded, Max sat up, ears pricked as if he could sense the tension in the room. The first file opened, a dossier labeled Project Sentinel Phase 2. Anna leaned in, her stomach twisting. It was a series of documents, government headers, redacted sections, clinical notes. The more they scrolled, the worse it got. Her name was there, Anna Johnson, listed as an unwitting asset. The phrase sent a chill down her spine. There were details of a program, one that used officers as test subjects in behavioral modification experiments, using subliminal messaging, chemical triggers, and implanted suggestions. It wasn't science fiction. It was real. Anna stared at the screen, the words blurring together. They had used her. She was a lab rat. And Max. Max had been trained not just as a K9, but as a biological sensor, able to detect these chemical triggers in human handlers. That's why he had barked at her. He'd been trying to warn her. Jake let out a low whistle, shaking his head. This is big, Anna. Bigger than you or me. This is Black Ops level stuff. Whoever's behind this, if they know you're digging, they'll come at you hard. Anna felt like she couldn't breathe. What do I do? She whispered. Jake leaned forward, his eyes hard. You run, you hide, or you fight back. Max let out a low growl, his body tense as if ready to leap into action. Anna clenched her fists, a fire sparking in her chest. No, I'm not running. Jake studied her for a long moment. But then nodded once as if making a decision. All right, then. Let's find out who's really pulling the strings. Anna exhaled, a sense of purpose settling over her like armor. They weren't just going to survive this. They were going to bring it down. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a pale golden hue across the cabin porch as Anna, Jake, and Max sat in a tense, uneasy silence. The air smelled of pine, coffee, and damp earth. And for a brief moment, Anna let herself believe they were safe. But the files on Jake's laptop had shattered that illusion. Anna scrolled through the last document on the drive, her hands shaking. It was a list, names, badge numbers, dates, and at the top in bold, Project Sentinel, approved targets. Her name was there. So was Mike's. And so was Captain Thompson. Anna's stomach twisted into knots. The man who had mentored her, who patted her on the back after her first big arrest, who had told her to take a break when Max barked at her. He had been in on it the whole time. I can't believe this, she whispered, the weight of betrayal heavy in her chest. Jake leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his gaze steady. Believe it. I've seen it before. Government programs, Black Ops, using good people like pawns. It's all about control, Anna. Max let out a soft whine, resting his head on her knee as if he could sense the storm brewing in her heart. Anna exhaled slowly, her mind racing. So, what now? Do we go to the FBI? The news? Jake shook his head. If we go public, we're dead before sunset. These people don't play by the rules. They erase problems. Anna swallowed hard. She looked down at Max, his unwavering eyes, the loyalty in his posture, the way he had risked everything to protect her. He had known. He had been trying to tell her from the start. By late afternoon, they had a plan. Jake would start digging into Thompson's connections, old contacts, backdoor channels, any leak he could find. Anna would confront Thompson directly. It was dangerous, but she had to look him in the eye. She had to see for herself. As the sun dipped low, Anna pulled up to the station. Her heart a hammer in her chest. She left Max in the truck, knowing he'd bark if anything went south. The air felt thick, heavy, as if the walls of the building were holding secrets too big to contain. Inside the precinct buzzed with normality, phones ringing, radios crackling, the smell of coffee hanging in the air, but it all felt like a thin veneer over something rotten. Anna walked straight to Thompson's office. He looked up surprised, but only for a second. Then his expression hardened. "Anna," he said smoothly, like nothing was wrong. "What brings you in?" She shut the door behind her. "I know," she said. Her voice low but steady. "About the program, about me, about Mike." For a heartbeat, Thompson didn't move. Then he let out a slow, humorless chuckle, leaning back in his chair. "You were always sharp, Johnson. I'll give you that, but you should have walked away." Anna's jaw tightened. "So, it's true. You've been part of this the whole time." Thompson's smile was cold. "Part of it? I helped build it. You think this town runs on donuts and small-town charm? We keep it safe by making hard choices. And you?" He pointed at her. "You were supposed to be an asset, not a problem." Her hands clenched into fists. "You used me. You used all of us." Thompson's gaze darkened. "It's bigger than you, Johnson. Bigger than all of us. Walk away while you still can." A knock on the door interrupted them. Rodriguez stepped in, his face pale, eyes darting between them. He looked at Anna. Really looked, and something in his expression shifted. "You okay, Johnson?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper. Anna held his gaze. For the first time in weeks, she saw it. "Doubt, Rodriguez," she said quietly. "You need to hear something." She handed him the flash drive. He hesitated, then took it. Thompson stood abruptly. "Rodriguez, don't." But it was too late. Rodriguez plugged the drive into the computer. The screen filled with files, images, reports. His eyes widened. Thompson lunged forward, but Anna blocked him, her voice firm, rising above the chaos. "Everyone in this room, listen up. Thompson has been running a covert program under our noses. Look at the evidence. We've been used." The room went still. Officers turned, eyes narrowing. Some stared at the files on the screen. Others stared at Thompson, realization dawning on their faces. Thompson's voice boomed, desperate now. "Shut it down. That's an order." But the tide had turned. Anna backed toward the door, her voice steady. "I'm taking this to the feds, and if any of you want to come forward, now's the time." Rodriguez nodded, stepping in beside her. Others looked torn, but Anna saw the shift, the crumbling of Thompson's grip. Outside, the sun was setting, casting a warm orange glow across the parking lot. Anna opened the truck door, and Max leaped out, tail wagging, tongue lolling. She knelt and hugged him tight, tears pricking at her eyes. "You did it, boy. You saved me." Max licked her face, and for the first time in weeks, she let herself breathe. Jake pulled up in his old pickup, rolling down the window. "So, what's next?" Anna wiped her eyes, a slow smile spreading across her face. "We expose them. We take them down. And we make sure nobody ever goes through this again." Max barked once as if in agreement, his eyes sharp and ready. Thank you for following this story. Your support means the world. If this happened to you, would you forgive or fight back? Let me know your answer in the comment box below.